We're going to get a little more progress made on this garbage picked air filtration unit. This is the box frame that I built that will house the squirrel cage fan in an upright position, and it will also be the home to the filter, and I'll show you how all that goes together here in a minute. Cleo was waffling back and forth on what I should make the box out of. I've got a ton of angle iron in stock, but that stuff's pretty heavy. This is half by half solid steel square, just a mild steel, but it's half by half solid. And it actually whipped up really easy with the chop saw. I just banged out a quick box and then tacked some bolts onto tabs. This is what the fan is going to set down on here. If you remember, that fan used to sit on a piece of unistrut, and it had the 4 bolts that were bolted it to the ceiling. And that's what I coordinated these 4 bolts, so I can use nuts and bolts and set them down on there. So I cut some pieces off site for the filter, how to hold all this together. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Let's just get her together and let's see how she looks. Oh. This is how it lays out on the top. I'm going to put a piece of weather stripping, some felt around here to seal the box. I did move the cable. This was screwed to the side of the squirrel cage, and I just drilled a hole, put a piece of vinyl hose over it to act as anti-chafing protection. And let's drop, actually let's fire it up and see what happens. And go. Cool. Wow, it's got some draw. That's cool. So that fits in there super snug, just the way I wanted it. That's really not bad at all, sound-wise. I could live with that. Alright, so it's, I don't know, it's been raining. I don't even know when the last time I gave you guys an update, so I'm going to kind of start from the top and work my way down on this garbage picked fan. Originally I was going to do it in sheet metal, and I have some pieces of flat sheet metal that would have worked well to skin this out. I don't know what gauge it is, whatever gauge, it's the kind of sheet metal that if you shake it, it sounds like thunder. You know, it's not thick like auto body parts, but it's a little bit thinner than that. Who knows? Whatever. I was going to do that, but I really don't have a brake, because I wanted to do corners with a fold-over thing, and maybe even roll, you know, crisscross applesauce in that, like this big back panel here, so it wouldn't be floppy. Really, all I need is just an airtight box that only draws in through the filter. So I kind of washed the idea of the sheet metal away, and I said, well, I got tons of plywood. I have everything from 1/8 inch all the way up to 3/4 inch in inventory. You know, little scrap pieces like this that would make a fine box. 1/2 inch, 3/4 to me was too heavy. The 1/8 and 1/4 inch luans are sometimes, they're not as strong. The skins are not as strong as regular plywood. And so anyway, what I settled with was 3/8 ply. It's like five ply plywood, and I put a coat of paint in it. Then I came in and I caulked all the seams, as you could see, and made it nice and airtight. And then I put a second coat of gray paint. Why'd I go gray? Because that's what I had in inventory. Here's the fan, and then I looked at this thing, right, when I added the casters. I put 3 casters just because 3 points of contact are always level, and I don't know where I'm going to be using this, and I just didn't, I've got like 8 of these little guys hanging around from a long forgotten, from a long forgotten project. And anyway, I grabbed 3, and there they are. Sorry if I'm wobbling the camera, I'm not really paying attention. Was at one of the big box stores, and I picked up some handles here. These were like $3 a piece, $3 or $4 a piece. So now I'm into this project for like $8 in handles. Sick. Hi, dog. You've been out in the bushes. Look how dirty you are. $8 in handles, $6 in filters. Yeah, this is a huge capital outlay for what should be a pretty, God, you're dirty, pretty successful fan, I think. But anyhow, when I dropped that in there, and I had this big stack on here, this thing's about 19 inches tall, and I started to realize that, boy, once you do that, and once you add a 10-inch, what is this, 8 or 10? 8-inch, an 8-inch 90 on there, it just gets really tall, and there's no need for that. The reason why that was built, previous owner had built that because this used to hang in the rafters. The rafters were 2 by 12, which makes them 11.5 inches, and then this stubbed up just like it is. It stubbed up into a roof jack, an open air roof jack, to vent the shop that this was hanging from. So that's why he built such a tall stack, and it's like, well, geez, I don't need that to be that tall. So I removed it. This is really all I'm left with. This hole is 8 by 15 roughly. So I think in reality it's 8 by 8 maybe is what the actual opening is. So yeah, I'm gonna make a plenum here. I think I'm gonna chop this off because this fits. This is the outer diameter for a 8-inch 90. I kind of want to keep it with an 8-inch like that, with the crimped end exposed. If for some reason down the road I wanted to add ducting, 8-inch ducting, to be able to duct an area we're working, or if it's kind of access is weird and you don't have room for this, you could set this outside a room and just get some 8-inch flexible ducting and slip it on over there. Yeah, so that's that in a nutshell. Let's see, I've only got about an hour and a half this morning. I have rehearsals Sunday morning, and I got rehearsals here at 11 a.m. I'm supposed to be at the theater, so I got about an hour and a half where I need to get inside, need some breakfast and shower and whatnot. So I think I'm going to use this stuff. This is just sheet metal, 26 gauge sheet metal. I think that's what I'm going to build this here. So let's see what kind of work I can get done. Be right back. Alright, this 26 gauge bend's pretty easy actually. Built up a quick box, of course with sheet metal. I cut myself. It doesn't even, it is what it is. It doesn't even bother me because anytime I get within 5 feet of a sheet metal project, I've got cuts, and this one went right under the nail. That was pretty awesome. Anywho, that's where we're at. That puts the air, excuse me, the forced air part like right here. And I'm going to slip this in there, pop rivet it in place, and I'm going to screw this, cover to here. So here's the way this plenum worked out. I didn't secure these because it really doesn't matter. I'm going to take some of this metal duct tape. I got to seal these little holes anyway. So I was going to run a strip just around the perimeter. This works out pretty good, and I can remove this. I don't think I'm going to screw this down on here. I think I'm going to leave it so it can come and go, because I'm not really sure which way I want this to point. Quite honestly, I want to use it a little bit and see the way this orients to which way it seems to work the best. Let's take a look at the final product. This is, oh boy, there's some cupping. Looks like the painter's been here. I always get the painter in these apartments first thing to usually get the smells and the funk of a long-term tenant out of here. He got everything painted but the kitchen, because I'm going to redo the kitchen. Got the stove and the refrigerator in a couple days ago. My hardwood floor guy will come in here after I'm done in the kitchen, and he's got to get this back to a natural oak color. You can see there's some damage. Looks like got some moisture there by the window. And oh, look what we have here. Just humming along. This is how she ended up. Not too bad, not too shabby. Here's where we are. I had some aluminum angle iron, I guess, or corner guard, whatever you want to call it. I put the $3.85 drop handles from Home Depot. Put those on either side. Makes a big difference. This is nice because it kind of covers the end grain of the plywood, and then as this bumps into things, it won't peel the plywood back, because plywood has a tendency to do stuff like that. This is how the top laid out. I was going to go through a whole procedure here. There was about a 1/16 of an inch gap between this sheet metal tray and the 1/2 inch square stock that I built the framework out of. Originally I was going to take some of this aluminum and make like a tray that I could put weather stripping on, and then this would set and bed into the weather stripping to make it airtight. But then I kind of started thinking about it, and that was a lot of work. That was way more time than I wanted to put into something that would likely never get used, because I don't really anticipate taking this off much, if ever, except if I have catastrophic failure. So as I mentioned before, I oriented this window, this intake window, to give me access to everything here. I can change the belt. There's the tensioner bolt. Let me see if I can flip this around if it really interests anybody. There's the tensioner bolt that I can adjust the tension here. The oiling caps on the motor and the oiling cap here for the skirl cage I can access without pulling this out. So I went the easy route, and I think it's very effective. I just ran this duct tape, this metal duct tape, and came across the edge. There were a couple holes here that I needed to cover up anyway. There's a couple on the back side. There's one right there. I don't know if you can see it. And this stuck really well to the metal and the plywood. This is the pressure side, of course. And it seems to work pretty respectably. As I've talked about before, these filters are their kind of mid-grade green filters. Home Depot, of course. They're like $2 a pop. I got a 3-pack for $5.85 plus tax. So I'm into that for $6, and then $3.85 per handle. And that's all I have on everything else. I pulled out of my inventory this 8-inch. Oh no, I bought this 8-inch 90. I think that was $4 or $5. I had this 10 in stock. This still can come off. I kept this loose because when it's in my truck, it fits under the camper shell without the 90 on here. So I think it's all right. You know, if I need more micronic filtration devices, I can get a better quality 16 by 20 by 1 filter that'll drop in there with a finer mesh here to catch more stuff. But I'm just pretty much trying to get the big stuff. It's dust control is really what I want to do. This is not going to be used in lieu of personal protective devices. I will still wear my respirator when breaking out this kitchen, for example. There's just things in here I don't want to breathe. And I'm in between. If I'm breaking out plaster, which has silica in it, which is bad for your lungs, there's the plaster with the silica. Here's me, and if I put the filtration unit here, my nostrils are still in between the wall and the filter. So I will still wear a respirator, but this will catch a really, I think, a good amount of airborne particulates before it makes a mess of the place or floats around elsewhere. So I dig it, and it actually came out a little heavier than I was hoping. I had no idea what it would come out to be, but I was trying to make it as light as possible. That rigid tube filter that I have, filtration device, it's a 36-inch long tube, 18-inch in diameter. It uses a paper filter, something similar to that. But the fan on it is pretty weak. It's got about a 6-inch, it's got to be bigger than that, probably an 8-inch. An 8-inch 4 or 5 blade fan, similar to one you'd find in a vent hood over a range, a cheap vent hood that goes over a range. And it just doesn't have the draw. This thing moves 30 times more cubic feet per minute, likely, the squirrel cage, than that other one. And it's really not loud. I like that. It weighs 32 pounds on my bath scale. So it is what it is. It's not as if it's going to be thrown around from job to job, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. It's going to be kind of set up in a corner and run on a job like this, which I've got about a 2-week turnaround. I'll talk about this in another video maybe, if you guys want to see that. It's really not that exciting. It's apartment work. It's just getting her done. So that concludes From Garbage to Greatness. Somebody got a hot rod. From garbage to greatness. This will be it, man. I'm kind of excited about it. And it's really not loud. Let's see. I'm trying to look through the camera. Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. All right, gotta go, gotta run. See ya.